As we get to the battleground here, LFM, after that first victory, Endemic actually choosing first pick. So LFM sending us over to Volskaya Foundry. Jehal, have you repaired? Have you been able to recover from that devastation?
Of your own rap career with lyrics?
Yeah.
Dreadnought, I promise. I witnessed firsthand. I told you guys about the video before. I was unable to find it, but I witnessed firsthand Dreadnought karaoke while we were in Korea. It wasn't just one song, it was many.
It was beautiful.
I don't know how bright his singing career is,
yeah,
but I can tell you that in some realm, in some world, it does exist.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't as pretty as I was hoping it to be. You know, cut me some slack here. Well, Sky Foundry for game number 2. Trying to figure out if there's a major strategy that we see either team maybe lean to. One thing that I did note in the last draft, for Endemic, with some of the craziness kind of going on, I was talking about how I think it's likely to expect Kira and Dansky to kind of stick to that, 1-2 punch combo that they've been in Heroes. I feel like there was a reason that you saw the Abathur Greymane played by those two players. I feel like we're going to see the iconic duos more often than not. Those two are going to be trying to play those together.
With Volskaya, Urel, high priority, holding on to the point. Very good play last game is a hero that you've pointed out lately. Swabs being very strong in that solo lane, being a very good presence for LFM.
He has been. Pleasant surprise there into the off lane. Early in his career, I felt as if he was having difficulties finding ways to be impactful while still remaining, relevant within the team fight and, not costing his own life. But recently, very much has found a way to be able to get that balance a lot more and step up for the LFM roster. Can't help but feel like Dark Chimera's probably a part of that because, man, that guy is looking good in those supports.
Deckard, no Deckard. We know how strong he can be in sustained fights on Volskaya. Swabs, admittedly, I'll say it, we knew him as a Dahaka player. He was outstanding in the early part of the year on Dahaka, but it was branching out. Now that we have the Blaze, the Urel, and things like that, he's managed to really shore up some of that, no longer reliant on being that impactful Dahaka player, now finding other ways. Diablo going to be banned out here, making sure Fury doesn't get his hands on that hero. So the Muradin Garrosh, that's my biggest one when I look at Fury on what he gets. I feel he's had much more impact on Muradin as of late.
Yeah.
Garrosh there's various forms of control. Medivh let through here.
Endemic, waste no time.
But can you beam? It's never about
Dansky and it's Medivh. There is only one way you can take this game in control, and that's by hovering that hero, clicking it, and let Dansky play in it. I believe this is it.
It's never about individual Medivh performances. It's about team performances. But if you're going to let somebody do it, Dansky would be the one.
Yeah, he'd be the guy. Still an option. LFM. Do you have a Medivh? How are you going to break that out for yourselves? Into a hammer, seems like the answer would be, you got it, now's the time.
Because Garrosh would be far more appealing here.
Yeah. It's a good point. Not going to lie. The fact that it wasn't snap picked up made me feel like it wasn't going to be selected at all, and here we go.
Okay, I watched Team Freedom run a Medivh hammer comp.
Mm-hmm. Now's the time.
As successful as it was, it's so oppressive to play against. It's like just when you think you have damage, you're like, huh, really wish anything that I did against this hammer would work.
Go B. Got him. It's right there, Medivh, Blaze. It's even a bit more kind of drastic there in the fact that Blaze provides another pause button in those team fights.
Here you'd like to walk in, here's some oil. Please pass through this. Oh, I can stun a large portion of an area. Please welcome into my neighborhood.
Oh, you got past our portals and our unstoppable hammer. Here's a bunker.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice. Malfurion, denied, no roots. That does take away some of the potential strengths with a Deckard Malfurion, but when a Medivh is there, Medivh covers a lot of holes of other supports.
Yeah.
Malfurion just gives you another form of control with the roots and sustain.
Well, one of the cool things about the ban on that Malfurion is Medivh Malf make up for the weaknesses of Malf not only in supporting, but since he's lost the Luna's Grace, he can never set up roots effectively most of the time, the high impact roots. Having a Medivh Malf, you gap close through and get the root possible, and you deny any kind of root threat on your side. It wouldn't have been the case because LFM have already gone with the white main, but it's one of those really good synergies with Medivh that work beyond just his, hey, I have no cleanse. Medivh's got the Force of Will. He even enables that entangling roots to be really problematic. And Twilight Dream.
Muradin banned out. So the engagement opportunities come in the form of an Anubarak. The Garrosh has to walk through what seems like a gauntlet just to get towards that.
But they're going to. They're going to walk through the gauntlet.
No Li Ming or Chromie pickup yet. You got to imagine one of those two heroes has to be on the tail end of that. If I'm taking my chances, I'm going Li Ming with the Triumvirate because that can outpace the Force of Will from a Medivh.
I agree with you. Not only that, I'm just still not a fan of Chromie, you know? Even in the hammer, it's like I take the Li Ming over that more often than not. So I agree. I think we're probably going to get that out from them at the end. It is a little difficult if we go full Seeker build, though. With the Junkrat, it's a double prep. Who's going to execute type circumstance? But you can go with the Triumvirate into the Calamity possibly. An Illusionist post 13 could help make up for that distance gained while trying to gain Triumvirate value. Nope, Chuck Testa. Phoenix.
No what?
Chuck Testa. I'm done with you. Okay. Apparently he doesn't understand the meme. It's all right. I can't understand what you're doing right now.
I'm at a loss phase.
Okay.
Phoenix pickup. I really want to see where the damage comes in. The Phoenix does great frontline damage, but trading and poking onto a Sergeant Hammer is almost impossible as a Phoenix. You can comfortably walk forward, potentially on the flank, allowing Garrosh and Yrel to absorb one spot, while Phoenix comes in from another. He can absorb a few shots due to his shield, and there's no real threat of somebody collapsing on him unless we get a portal in, which for Endemic coordination, still a question mark so far. I'm not sure about the Phoenix over something like a Li Ming.
No, I agree. I think it is a little bit more difficult. Normally, I would expect it to be something that would be, again, responsive toward that Medivh on the other side. It's not like Phoenix has a major tool to be able to better threat that. He will have a little bit more AoE damage. That might be something that they're arguing is too weak on the other end there. The only major argument I guess I came up with at first glance would be like, well, you could argue if you warp perfectly around a portal, you can double hit with a plasma cutter both entrances to make it a really bad decision to enter. But let's be real here, JL. If you're relying on that, probably not the go-to.
Well, you have the Concussion Mine. So the Concussion Mine gives you one form of displacement.
Yeah.
Pre-16, those portals are on longer cooldown than they used to be. And so if you get a toss, Iron Skin can get away jet propulsion out. If you get that one moment of the displacement, that's when it could come into effect. And a talent I've been waiting to see for what seems like forever.
Which one? There's a couple of them.
Stukov.
All right.
I have been, because you get the slow. You now have a ranged auto attack, and you get a slow. And I mentioned at various points, it's far more valuable now than it used to be, just because of the changes to his lurking arm. But it's a ranged auto attack with a slow, and Garrosh struggles into that type of control to engage at all.
That is a good point. It's going to better control the front line, but it should be noted it does have trade-offs. You do lose 40% of your auto attack damage, which anybody who's ever played Stukov knows, hands down, one of the highest auto attack threats other than maybe a Iron Fist Kharazim. And so you lose, I guess, that single target DPS, which oftentimes Stukov's in the mid to late game when a backliner goes, you know what, I'm going to all in this Stukov. He goes, have you met weighted puzzle with my passive +1 auto? That trading capabilities is not as good with this type of build, but it does enable the overall team fight and kind of control around that. And to be honest, when he originally released, I did have, thoughts about this talent. I thought that there would be situations where it might gain value. So I'm excited to see it come to light here, especially since he's been reworked. The go-to have seen changes.
Well, the key word you brought in was control. the level of control that Endemic's drafts had, there's a lot of it. But do you get more beyond just control?
Yeah.
Because it is sustain, live, and just win through a war of attrition, it feels like.
Yeah, and talking about the war of attrition, there's a small adjustment. Wow, nice job here.
Small adjustment to Urel's health bar?
Yeah, on the bottom half there. Just coming out from Curie, he's going into the Raven Intellect at level 1. That just means that his early game mid play has to be more Master Touch stacks than it was even before. It's not that the talent really hurts in any way, shape, or form. It just helps with the health regen and mana, which helps with the early game stacking so he doesn't have to back in those risky HP areas. But you do lose your, essentially your double portal, which that drastically pulls away from your late game team fighting.
I'm thinking about if there's ever a place for a Junkrat concussion mine build. Concussive mine.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really see it enough on the talent adjustments to know if I can come up with a crazy build that I'd be thinking of would be viable to come to light here. But I think if there's a hero to enable, it's probably Medivh. Dansky already posting up there as Zane Hyde got tossed over by Fury, setting up that groundbreaker quest at 1. Blaze ridding of the off-lane camp in favor of Endemic. Whenever he gets rid of that, make the transition down and expects a bit more aggression from them. Good job stalling out in the downtime, though, by Zane Hyde and Dansky, making sure 0% achieved by LFM, and now Urel rotating to Blaze.
Watching this unfold, it really feels like the only way Endemic can actually hold is to, you can't do it with just Blaze or just Johanna. You have to have both in the same general vicinity on the control point. Johanna was getting poked down there for a moment, and Dansky was having a hard time getting into place, and now he's firmly in place. Portal will allow him to get out, not before he eats some more damage. Zane Hyde will mount up. This should be control going over to LFM as Cure. No portal available, at least for a few more seconds.
It's a big problem. There was actually 2 situations. Number 1, the death there on the Cure is always going to hurt for Medivh, right? But considering the talent adjustment, it gets a little bit more dire. But you saw the talent adjustment come to light in that last skirmish, not being able to set the portal onto the full retreat of Dansky and the position where he's retreating. That is purely based on the fact that he only has a chance to throw the portals from where he is standing now. And it was just out of range to make that happen there. So it's going to be interesting to see if that does end up being a problem as this game moves on. But he didn't have enough stacks, and it hasn't been long enough that that's too big of a setback. I just purely, considering the talent adjustment, if I'm speccing more into it, I feel more obligated to then make sure I get that value out of that quest talent.
It's hard. Cure, one of the best Hero League players that we've had for a long time. Very well proven player, but he's moved into the melee role. Zane Hyde, he's in melee range right now. But we don't know how much practice he's had on Medivh recently outside of maybe some casual plays. Zane Hyde trying to survive, does manage to get a heal in there. They're trying to contest, but LFM in place to get first protector here on Volskaya.
Swabs was having a heyday over that last kind of back end over that control point A with that armor spread, diving on the backline to all of them. Great job by Endemic at being able to survive and keep the team alive. But LFM keeping up the aggression since game number 1 here. Looking to rotate the protector up towards top, ensure that top well, and further this early game full level lead here. LFM is in prime position to set this to that snowball Volskaya Foundry circumstance, especially if they rotate more members towards top with the 10 spike advantage.
Yeah, a lot of it comes behind getting a fort down early, and with 10 it makes it far easier. With a Sergeant Hammer on the other side, might not be as achievable if they keep up this type of pacing. They did end up having that 2-person split in the bottom, which has achieved the entire wall. If we look at the towers themselves, you look at 250 on the experience front, that's 500 per wall. You take the entirety of it, that's 1,500 total. A fort itself is worth 1,500, so if you guarantee yourself 1, there is a net loss in overall experience versus taking a fort, but it's far easier to do what they just did.
One thing that's pretty interesting here, as this game progressing through, is the Force of Magic pickup for Cure at 7. With the spell power, being able to stack that on top. I wonder if he's going to go just overall the thought process would be a bit more safe and protective. I'm also wondering, is there in a situation where we see more adjustments around the 13, something more of like circle of protection to try and find a way to make that happen? You can't help but wonder, you know, going with the CDR on your W makes a lot more sense with that talent pickup, but survivability and sustain is a difficult problem for Endemic based on that first Shrine fight. They do at least now have the Blaze, you know, bunker. That's going to help out. But just some small adjustments here, and I feel like part of it is considering the roster change, but also part of it here, can't help but feel like it seems like it's the comps as well.
Here's a part where Sergeant Hammer does excel, sieging up with this camp, and there's a knockback onto Fury from Sergeant Hammers. The siege continues. Turret camp picked up as Droplet's making his way up on the Phoenix. No Urel here, only taking down one fort for Endemic. Endemic is at least in a decent spot here, Dreadnought, because given the circumstances and the way they lost that first Protector, they're only about a level behind, and it's achievable to get on even talent tier by the next control point with their current pacing.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up, because there was an opportunity, I think, for LFM with, as we were talking about, with the 10 spike, even though that the hammer is there to deter, you know, any major siege. But if something had happened through that breaking point with the 10 advantage, structures would have furthered the breaking point, and LFM would be in a, you know, win-win circumstances pretty much across the board. We'll see what Endemic ends up doing here.
Right now, they're trying to get experience in that bot lane, but with this camp pushing top, they lose a fort here. They're going to give up 13 no matter what by the control point, but you give up a retreat point around that one. So the fight, the distance to safety is far greater when you lose that fort. It's one thing not having a well, but it's another thing when you don't have something to run back to and the enemy team can just track you down. Yes, you have the portal for an escape mechanic, and so they're going to simply trade out XP here just to get on even talent tiers, but that is something. It's a give and take when you find yourself behind after the first Protector.
Find out what Endemic is going to have to, or is going to do here now that we have the control point B. There's going to be a couple percentage for free until the 13 is picked up over to LFM. But this is it. It feels like this very much is going to be one of those bigger breaking points with some of the early momentum in favor of LFM over the control point. It's important that Endemic is clean on how they initiate this next team fight.
If Endemic does manage to win this, they've already taken care of the bottom, so they can really be aggressive with the Protector and turn this around. So there's definitely some bright spots if they do manage to win this Protector or a big fight. As we see now, it's time for LFM. They're holding the point. Swab's continuing to maintain control as Fury moving in.
Indomitable is dropped there as the silence still on the ground. Homicidal taking a bit of poke as Dark Chimera throws out that channel on his W. Groundbreaker going to land onto one. Dansky zoning off there on that Sergeant Hammer. And Endemic is going to be able to pick up some percentage for themselves. LFM start the biotic emitter camp. Portal already down. That's a huge cooldown going to be burnt there, so no retreat outside of this fight like normal. Fury's the focus for now. Jet Propulsion ends up landing onto him. BFG goes through with the Polybomb. It gets spread across. He picks up the biotic emitter, and actually Blessed Shield ends up missing in between. There's the massive shove coming down. Another portal dropped by Cure. Zane High takes it. And my goodness, J-Hal, a lot of fireworks there.
LFM essentially traded out that healing pulse, that biotic emitter. They were holding on to one. Fury put it down. They were able to survive there. They pick up another one. They also have 2 turrets. Only 1 turret in the hands of Endemic, so item control definitely there. The portal, but before he goes through the portal, there's going to be a taunt. The Riptire, that's a double kill. Nice plays here made by Fury to thwart that attack, and there's going to be the toss in onto Dark Chimera. Tommy with bunker already down. We're going to make it a triple kill. Cure trying to buy time. Does have a portal out, see if he can make it to safety. He does.
Yeah, we use the phrase, you know, kind of handed on a silver platter, but I have not actually seen an assisted kill more pretty than Figgy's concussion mine there. I mean, Fury, you saw him set up. He was going for a big 3-man Groundbreaker. Sergeant Hammer gives him the knockback. He's like, oh, I'm in a tough spot. This is kind of awkward. You know, okay, I'll take the Johanna. But then conveniently enough, a Blaze just flies over and is just like, hey, would you like a 2-man taunt? It was beautiful.
Just like that wiggle you did.
Yeah, it was that ragdoll, you know, Blaze wiggle.
LFM starting to establish a lead after that last team fight. Dreadnought find themselves up 16-14. level and a half lead for now once they take down this bottom fort, which they did prep during that first protector. This will continue to extrapolate that lead, the control, and with 90% and 40 seconds approximately left on this, this is keep wall going down in Snowball City for LFM.
Maybe more. Portal again there for Cure. Goes on through, trying to get some of that ability power. He's 3 stacks away from completing the Master's Touch. When that completes, at least he'll be able to be a lot more offensive with his positioning.
Boy, if they get a keep down here, this would be major.
1 away. Cure completes. Keep does end up going down.
Wow. Talk about putting a stamp on a game early. Taking a keep down 12 and a half minutes in. No easy task, but LFM has managed to do just that.
Yeah, that was control point B. Normally when we see a Battleground as dominated as Endemic side looks right now, that is right before control point C or post control point C. So this is now looking a kind of setting up a win condition earlier than we normally see. And I think this is going to be a cool opportunity for LFM because we talk about this a lot. The early objective, it's not that you can't end the game with it, but it's not a for sure 100% confident win. So then what do you do as a team? LFM in the past, I feel like they would be a team who goes, can we go for lethal, can we not? Maybe decide to go for the middle keep instead, play it safer, play it slower, and give Endemic an opportunity later on. So we'll see if they end up going for, you know, lethal or instead a keep if they are able to pick up that next objective, with assuming they will be able to do so, judging by the experience advantage and keep advantage down below.
20 tier is the goal. See if Endemic can force anything before then. Portal talent at 16 will buy more control with those portals. Master's Touch, of course, being finished does allow you to be somewhat more aggressive than you normally would without the fear.
5-man collapse from both teams here. Dansky still wailing away here at the fort. 1 auto away. They knock it down. No defense there from LFM. Portal collapse. Urel not in range to get any value there out of the portal collapse.
It's early, Dreadnought, but I believe there's 3 catapults that have amassed in that bottom lane.
But that well is going to get, it makes them so distracted. They, you know?
I mean, I'm distracted by it sometimes.
Yeah, I know, it is. So look at them. They're all going to look over to the right. Yeah, and see, that's the problem.
See, I have the same problem when it's time to end the game. Sometimes I get distracted by a camp.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of going to core, I go to camp, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
What do I do with my hands? There's so much pressure at these moments. Yeah, and your team's like, right-click the course on their hard, J.O.
Yeah, and then I'm like, when I'm Sylvanas, I'm going to do a siege camp.
Yeah, no,
it'll be there in a minute. Don't worry.
It is weird when, you know, the Catas kind of have that happen and get distracted elsewhere. But you are right. Now that it's down, now that the Catas have done that, they've gotten rid of their distracting little buddy over there. They are going to be a problem. It's only 1 on this wave, and as we talked about, in 4 more seconds, minions will spawn, get rid of it. Not that big of a problem. But that can build to be 2 to 3. It might be. Polybomb with a BFG going through. Swabs actually finding a position to maybe get a knockback there, but Iron Skin used.
That was clutch because there was another taunt, but the Iron Skin usage right before the taunt allowed him to pass through that portal. I wasn't sure if there were minions there, but that port would have added some extra damage. No 20, not even needed. LFM walking forward. They are invading this right out of the gates.
They're going to go. A lot of damage there already onto Sergeant Hammer. Dansky kiting away, flip over on a Homicidal. He getting body blocked out from that portal, not able to get a jet propulsion, not able to survive. A kill for LFM. J-How, I've never seen a team just hold off a skirmish as long as LFM did, not gain a talent tier advantage, and just go, you know what, we're going to take this fight harder than I just watched them do over that camp. Fury walked up and was just like, I'm Garrosh, what's up, boys? That was ridiculous.
You mentioned some of the late game decisions. They have a numbers advantage, but sending somebody mid right now to pick up that 20 tier just for the sake of safety, to make sure that you have the 20 tier advantage and play more patient.
Oh, Kira knocked back from the portal. I lied. He was able to get in range of the portal still. Turns out, pretty big range on that. Not full wind-up either. 50 seconds and counting. The 20 is picked up. What we were talking about is just, you know, sending somebody faster for the 20 so you don't risk that pick opportunity that Kira was questioning, hey, somebody gonna make that kind of mistake. LFM did not here, and now I think that question we asked before, Jay-How, is going to be answered. What does that look like? If Endemic does not contest over this, what does LFM do? Go for core? Go for mid-keep? Double flip over, 3-man taunt.
Right into the rip tire. The poly bomb goes out. Salvo almost confirms the kill. Biggie trying to make his way out. Johanna will be the first to fall. Ami, he's going to be the second. Swabs gets the leap or toss in, whichever you have your choice. Dansky being tracked down by some grenades with 4 members down on the side of Endemic. A protector picked up. There's 3 turrets on the ground there for LFM. LFM is about to take a 2-0 lead here over Endemic.
No way to be able to stop this one, Jay-How. Normally, this is where I list what are the crazy ways, but I mean, this is a solo Medivh. The only way you can throw this one at this point in time would be letting the polybomb spread like no other. So much so that Junkrat's delaying the back of Medivh, so nobody can even do that. Yo, respect this 1 versus 1. Here we go, Kier. I believe in you. Oh, there he goes. He makes it into Owl. I'd say that the Raven form. That's a win in my book. LFM find a second win in theirs here on game number 2, Volskaya Foundry, and go up 2-0 over Endemic. And normally, Jay-How, we would be sitting here just tickled with excitement here in favor of LFM. And I think that there's still some, you know, excitement to very much be had. But we do know the adjustments with Endemic, it is a little bit hard to gauge the power level and things of the like.
Yeah, you know, one thing I'm really excited about is for the HGC crew here, we're planning being tickled. Josh in production, he loves it. We're talking about having a celebration for him for his birthday later this month. But a celebration so far with 2 games up here for LFM, trying to climb their way out of the Crucible range and sending Endemic to a couple of early losses.
It's tough at this point. I feel like for Endemic, it's hard to look at what is the individual element that they can rely on or looking to go to at this point in time. But I do want to say that we started this series going, you know, if you're LFM, you should probably start looking at this like you're the upper hand. And I think that they're showing that, right? And I think that's something to be happy about for LFM, is that even with them as a roster, having Endemic, and keep in mind, Endemic was the team that shut out Team Freedom pretty handedly just a couple of weeks ago. So having them be able to, even though with those changes, come in and look good, because they aren't absolutely dominating, but it's pretty heavily in their control for most of this here.
Sometimes it's a matter of, if you're a team like LFM, you mentioned some of the finding yourself in a position that you don't normally find yourself in. Sometimes you can get leads, but you need to figure out how to win. LFM can use this as an opportunity to say, yes, scrims are one thing, but stepping in a live environment, figuring out how to win. Right now, they've done it. They find themselves up 2-0. They've been in this situation before. We're going to see if this time they can close it out, as Endemic will try and find their way back. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the conclusion of this series.